Taiwan says Chinese carrier group in Western Pacific for training. BOJ head Ueda signals chance of ending negative rates. China's central bank to scrutinize bulk dollar purchases. Australia and Japan join Indonesian forces in US-led combat drills. UN says Afghanistan is the fastest growing maker of methamphetamine. UK parliamentary researcher, who spied for China, arrested. Lula says Putin can attend next year's G20 in Rio without fear of arrest. Trudeau's backup plane is en route after faulty jet strands him in India.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Tuesday, September 12th, and here are your top stories. Taiwan's defense ministry said a Chinese naval formation led by the aircraft carrier Shandong passed 60 nautical miles to Taiwan's southeast on Monday and entered the Western Pacific for training. The ministry said that beginning at 5:40 a.m., it also spotted 11 Chinese military aircraft, including J-16 fighters, in Taiwan's air defense identification zone, and that its force has made an appropriate response. Last Saturday, a U.S. and a Canadian warship sailed through the Taiwan Strait.
The Shandong, commissioned in 2019, participated in Chinese military drills around Taiwan in April and operates in the Western Pacific. It also sailed through the Taiwan Strait in June. China, which has never renounced the use of force to bring Taiwan under its control, has stepped up military activities near the democratically governed nation, responding to what it calls collusion between Taiwan and the United States. Taiwan strongly disputes Beijing's sovereignty claims.
The Yomiuri Shimbun reported last Saturday the Bank of Japan Governor Kazuo Ueda said the central bank could end its negative interest rate policy as long as it can achieve its 2% inflation target. Ueda told the paper in an interview last Wednesday that the central bank could have enough data by the end of the year to determine whether it can end negative rates. Ueda was quoted as saying, "Once we've convinced Japan we'll see sustained rise in inflation accompanied by wage growth, there are various options we can take."
The BOJ currently guides short-term interest rates at -0.1% under its negative rate policy. It also caps the 10-year government bond yield around zero as part of efforts to reflate the economy and sustainably achieve its target. With inflation exceeding its 2% target for more than a year, markets have been rife with speculation that the BOJ will start raising interest rates soon. However, Ueda told the interviewer, while Japan is showing budding positive signs, achievement of our target isn't in sight yet.
Reuters cited 3 sources with direct knowledge of the matter as saying on Monday that China's central bank is tightening its scrutiny of bulk dollar purchases by domestic firms. The sources said companies that need to purchase $50 million or more will now need approval from the People's Bank of China, which convened a meeting with some commercial banks over the weekend on the matter. One of the sources said the approval process will be extended.
After 11 years, the yuan, China's trading currency, has dropped to its lowest point versus the US dollar.
The sources also said, the recent yuan depreciation has indeed been too severe, and many now expect the yuan to weaken beyond 7.5 per dollar. They said that the central bank has warned some lenders of their huge dollar purchases on behalf of their corporate clients. Reuters reported that the directive is being issued as the Chinese yuan has declined by about 6% against the US dollar so far this year, falling to levels that were last seen during the 2008 global financial crisis.
Thousands of soldiers from the United States, Indonesia, Australia, and other allied forces demonstrated their armor capability on Sunday in combat drills on the Indonesian island of Java at a time of increased Chinese aggression in the region. During the drills, Australian forces deployed 5 M1A1 Abrams battle tanks, and the Indonesian military deployed 2 Leopard 2 tanks for the 2 weeks combat exercise in Bayuwaning, a coastal district in East Java province, which began September 1st. It'll include live fire drills.
The Garuda Shield drills have been held annually between American and Indonesian soldiers since 2009. This year, Australia, Japan, and Singapore participated again on Sunday and were joined by the United Kingdom and France. The drill is being held in several places, including in waters around Natuna at the southern portion of the South China Sea. China sees the expanded drills as a threat, and accuses the U.S. of building an Indo-Pacific alliance similar to NATO to limit China's growing military and diplomatic influence in the region.
On Sunday, a report from the United Nations Drug Agency said Afghanistan is the world's fastest-growing maker of methamphetamine. The country is also a major opium producer and heroin source. The United Nations Office on Drug and Crime said meth in Afghanistan is mostly made from legal available substances or extracted from the ephedra plant, which grows in the wild. Annual meth seizure total from inside the country rose to nearly 2,700 kilograms in 2021, compared with less than 100 kilograms in 2019.
The report called Afghanistan's meth manufacturing a growing threat to national and regional health and security because it could disrupt the synthetic drug market and fuel addiction. It said seizures of meth suspected to have come from Afghanistan have been reported from the European Union and East Africa. The 2022 report also said that the illicit drug market thrived as Afghanistan's economy sharply contracted, making people open to illegal cultivation and trafficking for their survival.
The Guardian reported 2 men have been arrested under the Official Secret Act amid allegations that a parliamentary researcher spied for China. The researcher is understood to have had links to several senior Tory MPs, including the Secretary Minister Tom Tugendhat and the Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Alicia Kearns. The Sunday Times revealed the researcher was arrested along with another man by officers on March 13th. Officers from the Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Command are investigating.
Scotland Yard said one of the men, in his 30s, was detained in Oxfordshire, while the other, in his 20s, was arrested in Edinburgh. It added both men were held at a South London police station before being bailed until early October. Tugendhat is said not to have had any contact with the researcher since before he became security minister in September last year. Kearns declined to comment, but said, "While I recognize the public interest, we all have a duty to ensure any work of the authorities is not jeopardized."
The Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, said Vladimir Putin can attend next year's G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro without fear of arrest as he took leadership of the forum. Speaking at this year's meeting in Delhi, Lula said the Russian president would be welcome to attend the November 2024 event. While as a signatory of the Roman Statute, Brazil is required to cooperate with ICC investigations and activities. However, Lula told the Indian news group First Post, if he comes to Brazil, there's no reason he'll be arrested.
The International Criminal Court, ICC, issued a warrant for Putin's arrest for alleged war crimes in March 2023. Putin skipped last month's BRICS summit in South Africa, a decision widely attributed to the fact that the country had signed up to the same charter. Lula, however, indicated Putin would be welcome at the Rio summit, where he said visitors would find an atmosphere of peace. Challenged over the fact that Brazil was a signatory to the ICC charter, Lula replied, "He won't be arrested."
A backup plane and spare parts are en route to India for Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who is stranded along with his country delegation at Group of 20 summit after the plane they arrived on broke down. A statement from Trudeau's office said, the Canadian Armed Forces continued their best effort to get the Canadian delegation home. It said their latest update shows an earliest possible departure of Tuesday late afternoon. The situation remains fluid.
Trudeau's travel delays also stirred debate about the crumbling nature of Canada's state infrastructure. The Airbus A310s that carry Trudeau and other top officials abroad date back to the 1980s and are badly showing their age. They are so old they require refueling stops for Trudeau's trips to Asia, often with stopovers in Alaska and Japan before reaching their final destination. The government is in the midst of replacing its fleet of government transports with Airbus 330s, but they are still being retrofitted for use.
The answer to yesterday's question is C, topple, 倒下. The tree is so badly damaged, they are worried it might topple over. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Trudeau's backup plane. Number 1, spare, 备用的,多余的. Don't forget to leave me a spare key. Number 2, stranded, 滞留的,被困住的. If the tide comes in, we'll be stranded on these rocks. Number 3, fluid, 不固定的,易变的. The military situation is still very fluid. Now we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday news. Be sure to tune into Funday news from Monday to Friday and click the link below now to join Funday for free. I'm Wade Lee, your host. I'll see you next time.